All right, well, good morning to you. Is the day before Christmas? I should release that song. It will sell. I have a feeling it will sell. So Merry Christmas, y'all. We'll be here tomorrow, though. We'll be talking about mining and all those things. And we'll have somebody stop by from the US. You'll hear her song shortly. And it's all about the season. It's a beautiful season. It's a season to be happy. It's a season to be merry. I've been listening to all the calls since morning when I just vexed. They vex. Oh no, he should have said this. Why did he say that? Oh my God, he doesn't feel us. He's not feeling. Ooh. Well, even me, I got tired of listening to ourselves complaining, but that's not what we'll be doing today. We'll be looking at a way of complaining as a consumer and getting results. Because there's one thing to complain and get results. There's another thing to complain and you go back to square zero. Today we'll be showing you how, and we have the person who understands how already in the studio with us with OluSola Salako Ajulo. I got the son right. Got it. Okay, thank you. Welcome. She is Mama Consumer because she fights for the consumers and she's been doing it for over 20 years. She's a social critic, consummate consumer advocate. You represented the Southwest in the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission. Tribunal. It's a tribunal that works with that. And your new book is in front of us, right? For those of you watching, you see, the new book is right in front of us. And she's going to tell us it's actually being given out for free. So it's not that I'm advertising it just like that. No, she is a woman who has taken consumers and the protection they need to have to heart so much so they call you Consumer Mama. How did you get that name?
I don't even know. I think it was like at early stages when I was very passionate about this aqua. Was somebody just hailed me on social media and said Consumer Mama, and everybody started calling me Consumer Mama. So I accepted the
money is accepted. Oh no, I accepted. If Miriam Makeba could accept Mama Africa, new Consumer Mama, we accepted because that is something that you are very passionate about and we must talk about. One thing is that we hardly know our rights as consumers, and that's one thing you've been talking about a lot. How come the average consumer doesn't know their right? Is it a way we grew up that anything they give you, you take? Don't look, it's not a gift now, what you've bought, just carry they go. No complain, no, before the thing say you too do. How did we get to this point?
A lot of it. It's a mixture of a lot of things. Our military background didn't help because for over 30 years, you could not say anything against anything that you don't agree with.
Yeah.
And so we grew up in a culture of green and baked. Okay. And then when you do say anything, because there were no laws, as it were, that kind of safeguard you, that would give you that confidence that if I challenge this thing, there's something that backs me up. So every time they could even do challenge it, and they get to the point where they expect structures to back them up, they don't have the structures. So it just falls to the ground. So people just got disillusioned. What's the point of complaining when nothing's going to happen? And you still hear people say that tomorrow. What is the point of complaining? Nothing is going to happen. Even though for the past 5 years, we have had a law that is established to protect you as a consumer, but most consumers are not aware. And the structures to enforce it are still growing. So people still feel, what's the point of complaining? Social media has helped us. Because with social media, people think they can just call out people. But I also want to be able to enlighten Nigerian consumers that social media doesn't mean you have a right to say anything about anybody. You have to watch. I'm writing a book on that, actually. And when that's working out,
let's just say now you're talking now about consumer reviews.
Yes. No, I just mentioned that in the course. That because you asked why people don't complain. Reviews is a form of complaint. Reviews can be positive, it can be negative. A review is supposed to just be my experience with a product or service. Do you understand? This is what I saw and this is how I feel about that product or service. So review is a form of complaint. And brands who are sensitive to consumers now will pay attention to those reviews. Because now more Nigerians will go up and read reviews before they go and patronize somebody else. So if you have a backlog of bad reviews, then people will be afraid to patronize you. So people are starting to pay attention because there's social media access now. When we started consumer protection, there was no such thing. There was nowhere for people to complain. So it was a bit difficult for you to hear what everybody feels about your product or service. But now it's different. And now you find that brands now set up infrastructure that actually pays attention to all their social media handles or to mention of their brand name or whatever, because people now have a platform where they can.
But even at that, there is a way you can go about it that will be good, and another way that could give you a problem. For instance, the issue is still in court, the Risco issue with the consumers' review of it. What really went wrong there? Was it a case of choice of
words was the locks there? I mean, it's subject to discuss it. But
yeah, I know.
From the perspective of a consumer, all I can say is that the consumer review that you have a right actually to be heard. So that's the right. You can speak up because you have a right to be heard. That right is protected by law. Okay? But when you are speaking concerning a brand or a service, your best defense is to speak your experience. I experienced this. Nobody can query that. But when you make judgmental statements about a brand simply because of what you experience, then you are delving into areas where it's beyond what the law might have. So I bought a product. It's not nice. I will get online and I will say, I bought this product. When I opened it, I found this. When I did this, those are facts that happened to me. That is, nobody can challenge you on that, man. It's your experience. No brand can say, why did you write that out? It's what I experienced. But try and avoid making judgmental statements that looks as if a court of law has already pronounced something and then you are the one enforcing it. Be careful with those kind of things. Okay, just yesterday, somebody posted on my Facebook page that there was some project that was going on somewhere in this Lagos, and they all didn't agree with the project. It's disturbing the locality. It's supposed to be a constituency project, but they didn't agree with it and all that. And she did a video where she was complaining bitterly about the project and quote unquote, which is all in line. And then she now started saying, it's corruption, it's this. So I quickly cautioned her. You can't claim it's corruption unless you already have facts that this is corruption. You don't like what the project is, that's your right. You want to talk about the fact that this project is not appropriate for this, that's your right. But don't make judgmental statements about something unless there's already been a court of law that has declared that you are not a court of law.
For instance, you can't say that this product is killing people. So except maybe it had been proven that it did.
Yes.
That's it. Okay, you mentioned the act. So we have, for instance, the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Act, and part of what it's supposed to do, promoting fair and competitive markets, protecting consumers' rights, ensuring access to safe products, prohibiting unfair business practices. Now, I want to understand, before we move into that, what is the competition doing in all of this?
Okay. It's a means by which markets are controlled in such a way that it enables everybody to have equal access to markets. You see, what we found that in consumer protection is that when it gets to the point where they start exploiting consumers, many of the exploitation structures have already been put in place from the point at which they even entered the business. So governments globally started recognizing that, look, if we're going to keep protecting consumers from exploitation, we need to start monitoring how businesses behave in their structure. For instance, I want to merge. I am a brand that is I'm the popular brand in a category. And then there are newer, smaller brands that are coming in. Now, competition means we must allow those smaller brands to also have access so that consumers can have a choice. But when smaller brands come in, they will come in a little bit cheaper. And so consumers can have a choice between them and the big brand. And then it forces the big man also to start bringing down his own price because he needs to much, so it benefits the consumer.
So kind of fighting against monopoly.
Yes, it's actually basically mostly fighting against monopoly, but there are also other things that are attached to it. So what we do in competition is that we monitor to ensure that you, the big brand, cannot come and harass or frustrate the smaller brands out of the market, so that you now become the one who dictates price, who just takes advantage of consumer. The consumer doesn't have any choice. So competition guarantees consumer choice. That's what is
So it cuts across big market, small market, every sector. So where is the place, therefore, of price control? Because the president himself, he was asked that question and he said, no, he doesn't believe in price control. So it's free for all.
No, it's not. Mr. President is a free market enthusiast. In free markets, we believe that the market should dictate pricing, and that, so forces of supply and demand. But even in that context, there are some markets that government doesn't have a choice but to step in, because if government doesn't step in, the exploitation will be a lot, which is what you've been having with all those subsidies and co, in trying to monitor and manage and co. So,
I'm sorry, the FCC, not the act now, the commission. Yes, it had been going around supermarkets and so on, checking prices to be sure that they are not. So is that not an agency of government?
That's not a price control.
Okay, so break it down for me.
Let me tell you what price control is. Price control means we determine for you and tell you, this is how much you must sell this product. This product must not be sold for more than this amount of money. That's price control. When government gets into a market and determines that prices should not be over. That's what we used to do with petrol. When government will be the one to dictate what the price of petrol will be in the market, and everybody will sell it at that price. You cannot go over it.
So Igbo, Obalinde,
for everywhere. Okay, that's where you determine what the price is.